This is not what I want. Hello.
Uh-oh.
Hello.
What isn't what you want?
Oh, I'm sorry that you just got frozen ice, Jamie. I'm very sad for you.
That is tragic.
But I'm gonna pause the music. Here. I'm gonna pause the background music because there's music with the animation, right? And I think I'm gonna turn off both Mars. We don't have to be turned off. It doesn't really. There's not a lot going on here.
Well, if you need to get the full screen effect, I say
All
go
right,
for it.
All right. Okay, we're gone right now. We're Invisible Voices. And I'm gonna play for you all what I currently have of what is considered the opening of Outcast. All right.
Yes.
I hope you're all ready. Here we go. Oh, apparently it was at the end.
Oh, well.
Whoops. Start again.
That's a good place for it to be.
Here we go.
Heard you say that you were writing a diary of a nobody in the pages burn right.
And that's it. That's all I have right now.
Okay, guys, this is my first time seeing it too. So watching that camera pan up to Ferrix and see the tail drop into frame. I'm sorry, I may be echoing again. There we go.
You're not. I think you're good.
That was incredible. I am very heavily biased, though. I am very heavily biased.
Yeah, I definitely.
Oh, that was amazing, Ori.
I was definitely very happy with how Ferrix was turning out. There was a moment when I was like doing Ferrix that it was like, I don't know if this is working or not, and then it was like, oh no, it worked. We're good.
No, I would say you pulled it off quite spectacularly,
So,
actually.
yeah, we got that. And
that was lovely.
I have just over 10 days to finish that, so we might be working on that today.
Oh, man alive.
That's just how it goes, Jamie. I'm not an animator. This is like the biggest animation thing I've like really attempted to take on. Um,
We
that's
both
like
stepped
actually
outside our
feasible.
comfort zones with this whole project.
But I really, really wanted to have one. Like it was deep in my soul that I wanted to have one. So, you know, I've put in the effort. Ideally, Jamie, ideally, in an ideal world, it gets at least marginally more cleaned up from where it is now. But I would rather have something than just a ton of drawings that I never get to see.
You know, where it is still super impressive. I would not sneeze at that.
I'm definitely very proud. The tail thing, I'm very proud of the head
Oh,
turn
the
and like
tail thing looks
ears
so
his
cool.
ears coming down is very good. I will say Da Vinci
Oh,
is a little annoying and doesn't do exactly what I want to do, how I want to do it, but we're
oh, how
going.
so?
It's just a weird with like the panning, the pan up is just kind of
Oh, I
like
see.
the built-in one is not what I want, and to do it organically takes more time than I'm willing to allot to it specifically. So,
Because I thought those were very impressive.
well, I'm glad. Because that was after a lot of trial and error, because otherwise it's like a weird like mirrored thing, and I don't know.
Oh,
I
I
don't know.
see. I gotcha.
But I'm debating if I want to work on that right now. Oh, I will show the Randy art though, how it is so
Oh
far.
my gosh,
It's
please.
also not finished, but it is existing.
That is way too big. I'm gonna end
Can
up
I make
erasing
this
everything.
bigger? I can. Awesome.
Now, I don't know if you all can see it, but I'm actually working on some flats for the
I
promotional
will
art.
open it up.
Now, yeah, that's happening, which is
Here.
cool.
There we are. There you are.
Uh, look at the happy boy. He's so good.
Yes, because the last 5 days countdown have a post a day, so it's like, oh,
Well, you know, the fun thing I realized about
oh no.
this,
Is
I
that a
can
euphemism I
actually,
don't know about, media?
uh-oh, what's a euphemism?
Apparently, Randy might be a euphemism. I don't know. Randy
What's
from Randy Cunningham, ninth grade ninja.
cool?
I don't know. Media's being sussy wussy over there.
What does
But
it mean?
here, Mars, take a
Oh, you have
gander.
it pulled up?
Yep, it
I
should be
shall
loading.
wonder. Oh my God.
I'm so happy with how like the regular form turned out. Like I
I
don't
gotta
know.
say, I love the boyish look.
I'm like
Like,
very proud of this.
'cause your style is not angular at all. So I was wondering how that was going to work in
Mm-hmm.
your style. Because yours is very round, very
Yeah,
soft,
it's
and
very soft.
Randy's just default art style is very
I see.
angular.
So it's a British euphemism that I was unaware of.
Ooh,
I don't think us Americans use that.
definitely not.
Sorry, Style Steffi, long time no see. I
Hey, style, maybe?
one of uh my New Year's resolution was to actually take the kick in the butt to draw fan art of things, because I always really really want to, but I just never like managed to get myself to do it over like drawing the boys or something else, you know, like Outcast. But this year I've like specifically made a list of 12 characters that I really really wanted, that I've wanted to do fan art for a long time, or like really do and haven't been able to. And one of them is Randy Cunningham, ninth grade ninja, from Randy Cunningham, ninth grade ninja. And I said, Mars, do you want to see the Randy art? And apparently, as you saw, it's a euphemism in some parts of the world, and that was not intended.
Rather unfortunate,
Rather
but
unfortunate indeed. It is
can't
just
be
his name.
undone.
It's just the boy's name. Honestly, I'm in love with like how I did the clothes. I'm not exactly sure what I did right, but like, dang, I don't know. It looks good.
Honestly, boy's got drip.
Boy's got drip
He's
indeed.
fly.
Indeed.
It looks so damn
So
good.
it's gonna be about a minute and a half, Jamie, and I have about 30 seconds. So I'm about a third of the way. I think I'm actually gonna work on it right now, because the Ferrex part should be able to be finished pretty quick.
Honestly, biggest thing with the opening that blows me away is just seeing what I had scripted be like animated and have
Mm.
movement
Mm-hmm.
is just so damn wild. I'm losing my mind over here.
It is pretty crunch, Jamie. Again, I'm more just happy to have anything, you know, if I'm being honest. Like the ideal is to just sort of have anything as something I can put on like Instagram reels to try and like
Build
to try and
hype.
be something. That's fine, Sal Sammy. We're just happy to have you here. Good luck with your blood cell count test.
Oh, best of luck.
Practice.
Hope everything's okay.
Why would you do this to yourself? Because I really, really, really wanted something that was actually kind of nice to put up on literally mainly Instagram reels, right? Because that's what gets the traction, unfortunately. And so the idea would be to do that, to have something. And because me as like a person always like I really, really, really want to have some sort of anime opening. And I gotta say,
that is the goal.
I
Always.
haven't been working on it particularly crazy to get where I am right now, so.
Well, I gotta ask, Ori, how have you found the animation process? Is it super different from like doing the comic in general, or is it kind of like an extension of that? Like, oh, this is very similar to drawing for the comic, it's just another method of doing that.
Should have started earlier, you say, Jamie. No, earlier I was redrawing the first two, and well, I was doing the prologue and the next two entries, redrawing them. Work
And in
on
all
it
honesty,
earlier.
because of my schedule, it probably wasn't even written yet.
Okay, how am
All right, there we go. Beautiful boy.
I'm
Got
drawing
his
frame by
little
frame. I don't have
down
like
here.
I don't have a good grasp on it, and I'm not trying to make it like super super smooth, so it doesn't feel like it's a ton of frames. But yeah, I am frame by frame. It's all Mars's fault. There you go. See, I'm blameless now.
You are.
I am now
Just pin it
blameless.
all on me, I suppose.
What's this?
What is what? Uh-oh. That doesn't sound good.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
I'm just trying to figure out what layer I get to draw on here in order to do something.
Oh.
Is it
Oh,
this one?
even
It's
in
not that one.
animation, there's no escaping the hell that is the layers.
Oh, there's a frick ton of layers. Don't even trip, dog.
Too late. I tripped and I went splat.
It's Pluto's fault. It's always Pluto's fault, and that's why we have these issues.
Pluto.
God, freaking heck. This one? I'm this close to making another layer. Another folder. Oh, I need the sketch pencil.
Actually, fun thing I realized about the promotional art, Ori,
Mm-hmm.
is that I can do time-lapse images.
Ah, that you
Because
can. They're
it's
zoomed
not
in.
a whole giant comic.
Yes, that you can.
If anyone follows me on Instagram, the Lore of Mars account, I tried posting a time lapse a little bit ago and it failed horribly because I was working on the comic. I didn't realize that it would get literally the entire file and not zoom
Yeah,
into the
zoom
area I was
super out.
working on. So I learned a lot that day. I really did. All right. There's a little crevice.
Hello,
up
Anima.
in
Here's your blood cell Snivy.
Hi, Anima.
There it is. Done. There's your white blood cell.
Oh my gosh.
Success. Yeah, there you go. Here's your bacteriophage. There it is.
Lovely.
Well, there's your bacteria. The first one was the bacteriophage. But yeah, there you go. And then it was what? Here's your red blood cell with a little dimple in it. There you go. Done. Science. They're just here streaming through Discord anima. That's how we get the dual screen stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. My apologies. There
What
you
have
go.
you done?
Here's the fried egg. Here's the fried egg.
Ah,
There you go.
see, Ori, it's up to you to deliver the goods.
It is. Yeah, no, Mars and I are a duo, and the only reason that I stream on my own ever is solely because Mars can't be there at that very moment.
Yeah.
If I could not ever stream on my own, I would. Well, that is also true, Jamie. That is also true.
Yes.
In order to chat in the Twitch, you do need a Twitch.
That is incredibly true. Yes.
Okay. Give me that
Alrighty.
Ferrex hairstyle
Let's-
here.
Should we move into our discussion?
Yes,
for
we
tonight?
shall. We shall. Relationships. We'll actually
Ah,
discuss
yes.
the thing on the tin today instead of Tuesday where we totally didn't talk about staves.
Well, yeah, we did completely skip staves, didn't we?
Yeah, such is life.
such is
Sometimes
life.
so at the very beginning, Jamie, Mars originally couldn't make some of the streams right on time, and now going into on Tuesdays, I will always start streaming alone, and Mars will join later. So that's the whole
Yes.
thing.
My school keeps me a little bit late. I take
Super
night
late.
classes.
Sadly
Yeah,
late, terribly late.
very late. I went to class at I left my house around 12 yesterday. Went to class from 2 to 3:30. Ran around like a maniac. Oh, okay. If anyone wants to hear my story about my comedy of errors, because I don't think I told Ori about it. So if you guys want to hear how yesterday went for me, I can totally share that because honestly, it makes me laugh. And maybe we all need a good laugh right now. Let's just make fun of Mars. But yeah, I did not get out until about 9 o'clock last night, and then it takes me, depending on traffic, 40 to an hour to drive home. So it's a long day. And a late night. I was so dead on my feet yesterday by the time I got home.
I'm showing style, Snivy.
But this has been nice. I've been mainly drawing all day, which has been a fantastic way to unwind.
I took immunology a long time ago. Honestly, not that long ago, but too long ago.
Is this your chance to flex? Is that
No.
what it's for?
See, I see. I got for style, Snivy.
Ori's
Alright.
skills are being put to the test.
Have you ever watched the anime Cells at Work style, Snivy? It's actually very good and relatively accurate.
It's so damn good. I love it.
It's
Actually,
really fun.
they came out with a spin-off. Have you heard of Code Black?
I have not.
It's very interesting. It is a spin-off series, so it's not a continuation. But the
Sad.
reason it's called Code Black is because it's taking place in a body that is not very healthy. So
Mm.
like the person drinks coffee all the time, so the blood cells are running all over the place. They're addicted to it. The guy smokes, so there's that going on.
Oh, interesting.
It's like there's a whole thing to it. It's actually a little bit more dramatic
Yeah.
than the original Cells at Work. Like there are points where you might actually cry,
No.
and there's actually a major character death.
So
that
Style
happens.
Snivy, Cells at Work is an anime that I believe is on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you can watch it. It's an anime, and it is where it is a portrayal of a human body that is, under, sort of like bombardment by viruses and bacteria and all this sort of
Illness.
stuff, other illnesses, heat stroke, all these sort of different things that can happen to your body. And it's portrayed as essentially a big city that is filled with people who are the cells, and go through and you follow a red blood cell and a white blood cell, and honestly white blood cell vibe, and you know.
You do have a type.
Come on. uh, I was talking to Dylan about a daisuke and Haru earlier today.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Mostly that he is. I did convince him that I could get him to dress up as Phoenix Wright and let me
nice.
spike his hair. So we're definitely gonna be doing that at some point. Honestly, next year when we like live together, there'll be a lot more of that. He can't escape. But
I mean, it'll be a lot easier, that's for sure.
yeah. But it's really fun. Silence and Ivy, it's short. I think it's like 12 episodes. You know, it's just one season.
It's a
and everything.
pretty quick watch.
But it's actually really accurate. Like I watched a doctor react to it, and it's actually like pretty accurate and a lot of cool stuff about it. So you know, if you want just something fun to watch, I recommend. But back to relationships.
Yes. Well, many types of relationships.
They do,
happen.
Silence and Ivy. They actually do. I'm very sorry. Mars, keep interrupting. You see all of them. It's really
Oh, yeah. They also have the I think what was it? The memory T cells as well.
Yeah, well, yeah. But yeah, they have all the
Yeah.
different groups of white blood
They have
cells.
all
They
of them.
have the dendrites and the memory T and the other types of T, and they have the different.
The way they portray it
It's
is
really
so
cool.
damn clever.
It's really good.
Like, it is so well done. Kind of insane.
Macrophages, like all the thing. It's great. But yeah, continue. My apologies.
Gotta be honest, it's so this is an interesting topic for me because I find it's a lot harder to jump immediately into it. Like all the others, like cliches, that's easy to launch into. You know how to talk about that.
I can start you off if you need a little
Writing
help.
a good plot. Oh yeah, totally.
So
Because it's like relationships is very broad.
A good thing.
So I think we have to narrow it down a bit.
I don't think necessarily so, right? Relationships is two characters interacting with each other, right, in a meaningful way. So that could be platonic, romantic, you know, sexual. It could be like a villain, you know, like it doesn't have to be, you know, like it could be all these things. But the idea is to make that interaction. That is very true. Sounds like it, but that's what life is. That's what this stream is. It's to make that interaction believable, right? And I think a very good example is a lot of media that I've been consuming these days that is, you know, bad in a very specific way, and that is essentially shoehorning a romantic relationship between characters. I think that's the biggest one.
That's your pet
That's
peeve.
the easiest one. I dislike it a lot because it's already very like to be invested, like it has to be really invested. But I was literally watching and this this works out very well. I was literally watching a review by Saber Sparks about the new show Velma. And if you've heard anything about it at all, you know that it is absolutely trash and it is horrible and it is the worst possible thing to come out of animation in a very long time. So it's
impressive.
bad. Now, the part that I want to specifically touch, honestly, it's a very good example of how to do bad relationships across the board because it ruins all of them. But the big one that I have is that in episode 1, Velma and Daphne hate each other's guts. They hate each other very much. In episode 2, you find out that they were once friends upon a time, and by the end of that same episode, without much really any character growth at all. Yeah, really any character growth at all. Then they're like making out and they're having like a relationship now. And now it's like supposed to be like we're supposed to be in it, right? Like, oh, like we ship, like we're supposed to have that. And what Saber Sparks said is a phrase that we need to all have in our vocabulary. They needed to set the table. They needed to set the table. They didn't set the table. Set the goddamn table. And this is like my favorite thing now. So you need to set the table, right? And I think that's very important for relationships that are meant to grow, right? Because you can have like you don't just suddenly be friends with someone. Like, even as a child, when you walk up to somebody and you're like,
Oh,
oh,
no.
want to be my friend? Well, you can have a name there because you're like a naive child. It's still not exactly the same as the person you've been friends with for 2 years back home or something like that, right? No matter what label you want to put on it. Now, it's probably a little easier making friends when you're younger because you have much less inhibitions and all this sort of thing. But the idea still stands that there is a progress from going from stranger to acquaintance to friend to, and then, in the end, possibly, like a romantic relationship, and then a sexual relationship, all of those options. But the idea is that
If things
very
happen to work
few of
out
them,
that way.
very few of them, and there are exceptions, but very few realistic relationships just begin a certain way.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
Very few just appear out of nowhere, apparate into thin air, and then it's even less believable when you go from opposite ends of the spectrum. Because like I said, in Velma, Daphne and Velma are not only just acquaintances or
Well,
ex-friends.
it also sounds
they're
like they're at each other's
yeah, no.
throats
They
in
are
the beginning.
actively vitriolic towards each other. And with no prior setting of the table except the placemat of they were friends in the past, now we're supposed to ship them. And this is very,
See,
very annoying.
there are so many properties
Yes.
that rely on the
Puss in Boots
whole
was great.
childhood friends mentality. And it's like, that's enough to create investment. That's enough because, like, oh, there's so much history there, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
Because if we don't see how they're going to work together, like in the now, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship they had in the past. Because with your
Exactly.
Velma and Daphne example, they're at each other's throats. Why would we want to see that? Unless we see, and this is something that can actually be related back to our boys, because Potson is very uptight. He's very put together. He's always kind of watching his back. He's a nervous person, but he's also a by the book person. Milano is the exact opposite of that. So he starts out as a bit of a foil to Hotson, and Hotson doesn't know what to make of him. But there's also this idea that opposites attract. Not only that, but also that there is a person who can kind of balance you out and kind of provide what you don't have. I think that's important to keep in mind, especially for writers, because, like, what can these characters offer each other? Like, what are they getting out of this relationship?
Yeah. But every way under the sun to it. I have a type, okay.
Oh, Ori does have a type. I found it out on
It's too
Tuesday.
relatable. I'm just being called out now, left and right. I mean, it wasn't.
You walked into this, Ori. You walked into this.
I didn't feel like I was hiding it or anything. Like, I feel like it was kind of obvious. I mean, you know who I'm dating.
I mean, guys, she did play Smash or Pass live, so
That's also
I
very
feel like
true.
everything
That's also
is
very
on
true. And I
display.
gotta say that if you watch that Smash or Pass, it is very easy to know what my type is. I don't know why. But the thing is, that's the question was, could you explain the type in like one sentence? Jane's asking you to spill. I don't know if I could necessarily
The
explain it in like a
type in
moment.
one sentence.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry,
Okay.
Jamie. Well, it'll be on YouTube eventually.
In one sentence.
Without
Boy,
like
boy,
going
boy,
in
boy.
like super in depth, right? Like I feel like otherwise it's
Yeah,
just like,
no,
let's just describe
I think
Dylan's
I can make
personality
it
or
work.
something. But
No. So the consistency I'm seeing with you is you like confidence.
Mm,
And you like people who believe in their confidence, but can also back it up with actual proof. Like they are capable. They're not just talking out of their ass, like, oh, yeah, I could totally do that, and then fall flat on their face. Like you
yeah, that's
like
the
it when
vibe.
they can back up what
Yeah,
they're
and there's
selling.
definitely
But
this
you also
extent of it being
appreciate the
like arrogance.
vulnerability.
Well, of course. You gotta have both sides of the coin.
Oh, of course.
I'm very much you gotta get yourself a man that could do both.
That's why you like Daisuke so much.
Daisuke,
Or Will.
But it's also like conviction, right? I guess that goes with confidence, right? Like strong moral compass, right, is very
Oh
important.
yeah.
That's why like Haru's really nice as well, because it's like he knows his sense of justice. Man, it
Oh
is
yeah.
there and he will fight for it all the way.
He
It's great.
stands by it. He fully believes in it.
Exactly. Exactly.
And you love to see it cuz you don't that quality is not as mainstream as it used to be.
Exactly, Sasam, exactly. You know, it's one of those things, Jamie, where you just have to start realizing that your skill is better than everyone else. And I will say there's a feigned extent to it. Like, I would say Dylan is very confident, right? I would say Dylan is a very confident person. And I would say Dylan plays up into being a very egotistical person, but in real life, in actuality, and this is kind of what Mars was saying about being the two sides of the coin, right? Like having vulnerability. He is not. A great example is he is in law school, right? And he is attempting. He has gone to multiple like mock trials and moot court and all these sort of things. Like for job interviews, he has to give opening statements and all these times. And his whole thing is exactly. See, there it is, Jamie. Sal Snavi, right on point. He will tell you time and time again that um going into all of these things, all of these talking, public speaking things, he is nervous as hell, incredibly nervous, like horrified. He's going to fail. He's going to do terrible. He is just absolutely horrified. However, he gets in there and like it's very much the court melts away and he is
he
just
slays.
he literally does. He literally slays and everybody like does it as well and is like literally slays. And that's the vibe, right? Because then he can take that knowledge that he is good at that and force into like being sort of like quote unquote egotistical, but he's not
It's
actually egotistical.
like the fake it till you make it
Yeah,
mentality.
it's you already made it, right? And the
Yeah,
stress is one of those good stresses where it forces you to prepare so that you are as good as you can be, right? But
exactly.
but then having that outward the whole time facade of being as confident as you actually should be, even if you're not. Right? I think
Mm.
that's the like human experience, right? When you talk about like anime characters, like no, they're confident and unwavering 90% of the time. That's how
For
they
the
are.
most part,
You know,
that's just kind of how protagonists work.
yeah, but you're also not necessarily hearing all of their sort of inner thoughts. So who knows? Maybe they are stressed the whole time and they're just doing the same thing. But that's the
I
vibe.
mean, we know Phoenix, right? Certainly.
No, I'm not just saying that Style Snivy. Dylan specifically does a joking method of pretending that he is full of himself, but it's not true. Like that's just part of the thing. I'm not talking about it just being confident. I'm talking about like literally, like pretending to be Johnny Bravo. Oh, I see.
Now that's a vibe.
Not talking to me. Everybody's talking to me. You're talking to Jay. You're talking to me. You can't have a comment. See, there's the ego.
You, you got to
Jamie is
differentiate.
amazing. Jamie is amazing. I already know Jamie's very smart. That's very easy to know. We've got a lot of smart people in this chat. This is nerd
Oh,
chat, and
this is very much nerd chat. We
it's
got
the
the
vibe.
science people, we got the biology people, we got the logic puzzle people, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
neat
Jamie doing the
and
logic puzzles.
awesome.
Yeah, we'll be doing those again, definitely.
Oh yes. Later down the line though. Later down the line. One of the things
And sorry,
no, it's cool.
we gotta
I
have the
the
Jamie hype train.
the thing with right now, since I'm doing the art tonight, I cannot see the text chat,
Hmm.
so I gotta keep like checking in every few seconds to see how it's going.
Style Snivy's spitting straight facts tonight. See? And Style
Damn.
Snivy's smart. See? We're all smart here, but that doesn't make one person smart or the other way, right? Like, I know a lot about trees, but I know nothing about coding. That doesn't make me not smart, because I know lots of stuff about trees.
Yeah. It's just a
Oh,
specialized skill.
Style Snivy really coming in hot here with all those good vibes.
Man,
Top tier
Style
stuff,
Snivy,
Style
you got
Snivy.
like words of wisdom tonight.
Because I agree with that sentiment all the time. You know, I try to, in things where you can specifically measure that, like, you know, art of some physical form, you know, that you've had of the past. That's always great. If you look back on yourself and cringe, you did good. See? That's the trick. If you can look back on yourself and cringe, that means you're better now than you were then. You've improved.
And you'll have to live with that cringe forever, but you
Eh,
have improved.
Again, it's the equivalent of looking back at your old sketchbook and going like, "Ugh," is you cringing at something your past self did. See, okay, here you want a Dylan word of wisdom in sort of a roundabout way?
Oh, let's
He
hear it.
refers to himself, again, in a joking manner, as like there's past Dylan, there's present Dylan, and there's future Dylan. Right? So, no.
Mhm.
See, but Jamie, this is the thing. The second that it's done, that's past Jamie, right? Like, you've moved on. There is almost never a present Jamie, as Dylan will say. There's never a present Dylan. Right? So it's always, that's always past Dylan's problem, right? And you move forward, confident. Yes, Oscar, what is your question?
It's all in flux.
What is happening here? I'm doing a dumb. That's what's happening here.
Ah,
You can
it's
always
okay.
ask
We all
questions,
do it,
Oscar.
Yes, please do. Either to Ori, myself, chat, any one of us. I think we established we love questions.
I would say yes, Oscar. I apply guys and dudes is an all gender inclusive thing. If I'm being honest, I have a very specific that is true, Styles. That is true. Little delay. But yeah, a really quick story about that. And this actually goes in kind of with relationships in an interesting way, but in like a work
There we go.
relationships thing, right? Is that I worked in a job that was 100% primarily men. Okay, I replaced a woman in the position, and so for vast majority of the time that I worked at the job, the only other women in the office were the administrative assistants. They weren't in my position in any sort of way, right? So vast majority of the time, I was literally the only woman that was like at these meetings and doing all this stuff. The amount of times that one of the like the manager or something would say, "All right, guys, and Ori," it's like address emails this way. "All right, guys, and Ori," and it's like I don't
What the
I
heck?
don't need to be singled out, right? Like I do not need to be singled out, and so
That's just awkward.
it's like very yeah. It just makes it worse.
Yeah, because now you're calling attention to it.
Oscar, I'm curious if you don't mind me asking, what is your native language? What is your first language? Because if it's one of the ones that I know generally, I could probably give a decent example. Because romance languages, it's like guys. Taco, okay. So yeah, it's like how when there's a lot of, you know, when there's a group. Yeah, no, I understood. I understood. So it's like in Spanish, right? When you have a room full of people, if they're all female, then you would use, you know, the feminine term, right? You would say like ellas or niñas, right? But then if there's even one guy in the room, suddenly it's you know ellos or niños, right? Like it changes. So that's what guys is, right? It's like ellos, where it can be both. Does that make sense? Hope that made sense. I'm
That's
not
honestly
fluent
probably
in
the best
Spanish,
way of
but I
describing
do
it that I've heard.
okay. Exactly. That's exactly what guys is, Oscar. That's exactly what guys is. Think of it that way.
That is the perfect way to think about it, actually.
Thank you. Jamie agrees. I like how immediately
See,
Oscar said taco, and I was like, great,
approval
I know
from
this one.
Jamie.
This is exactly what I wanted the answer to be. I wanted the answer to be taco. I was like, this is the one that I could do well.
But yes, I'm familiar with that.
That is true, Jamie. That is definitely. I mean, I say guys all the time, right? Like no matter what. But I also think that interestingly enough, my understanding is why we do this is because while guys has no connotation, right? So it's neither good thing or a bad thing or anything like that. However, when we say girl in America, girl is the young one, right? Like a child, right? A girl is a child. A guy is not a child. A guy is still a man, right? A girl is a child. So when women say
variety of ages,
girls, or if even a man said girls, right? I sound like a textbook. Such is life. Again, I'm not fluent. I can understand, and I could probably survive in a Spanish-speaking country, but that's about it. But when you say girls, right, it kind of says, like, it's kind of a diminutive, right? It's kind of demeaning in a way, right? You know, it's like when if a man was to call me a girl, like that's mean, right? That's negative. Yeah. So I think we've moved because girls, like, hey girls, is like kind of nowadays. We just say guys for everything.
And that is how language evolves over time.
I love vosotros. I love vosotros over ustedes. That's my opinion. But in school, they didn't want to teach us vosotros, like the conjugation. It was very sad.
I feel like they only covered that once and then never again.
They were like, it's in Spain. It is only used in Spain, but yet, Jamie, I also learned la guagua. So, you know, that's the Dominican Republic word for el autobús, la guagua, la guagua. Yep, vos. Mm-hmm. I like vosotros and vos because it's like y'all. In like how I was taught it, it's like y'all.
It gets the job done.
Yeah, gals. That's the closest one. But again, that still has like a southern connotation, right? Like still like y'all has like a southern connotation. Right? It sounds like I gotta say it with a southern accent. Hey gals. What's up, gals?
Y'all, gal. Yeah. Depending where you are, you're gonna hear it a different way.
It is easier to say. I do like it.
Whoops.
But yeah. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that, Oscar.
Huh.
I was told it's literally only in Spain. And then they never said anything else about it. They were like, move on. I just
learned something tonight too. Very fascinating.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up on my Spanish. I definitely am. I know Spanish only in an academic way, in a textbook way.
Apparently enough so that the Duolingo bird is happy with you. It's the highest honor they can award.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Argentina. No, exactly, Jamie. That's exactly what it was.
I think we kind of had the same too.
It was here's vosotros, here's how you conjugate it, but you don't have to get it right on any test.
You'll never use it.
I strove. Like I'm a nerd, so I tried very hard to know all the vosotros vos conjugations, but it's like Gue.
Yeah, there is definitely something to be said for how America decides to teach second languages.
Yeah, I was literally just. I think it was you,
I think we were
Mars.
talking about
Yeah, we were
that
just talking about the other day
on
how
Tuesday.
we're like
Yeah,
very upset that like we didn't get really to learn a second language very well.
no. They wait too
Oh
long.
no, Jamie, no. They do wait too long. Well, no, you know what's wild? And this is
What?
very I don't I was part of a Spanish club in like elementary school, like from a very young age. I was taking
Oh,
Spanish
really?
club. Yeah. And I went to Spanish club
Oh.
and we did like worksheets and I filled out like diagrams of a house with like all these things. However, I do think that was pushed specifically for me to do because I am like, my grandmother's Hispanic, so she's fluent and like, my father does pretty well. So I try to speak to my father in Spanish. I understand it a lot better than I can speak it. I feel like it's mostly 10 out of 10. I'm glad, Oscar. Learning channel.
Woo!
But where was I? I don't remember what I was saying.
You were
Oh,
talking about Spanish club.
yeah, I'm definitely better at understanding it than I am speaking it, but that might partially be a lack of confidence and fear of being told that I sound dumb. However, I was complimented. I take this as a very good compliment, but I don't think I'm not sure how much of it was meant as a compliment, but when I was working at my
What was the
when I was working
context?
at my tree job, right, I I worked with mostly, like Spanish speaking people, right? They were all from Central America, really, Mexico, El Salvador, kind of all over. And so they were almost all fluent in Spanish, and some of them were, fluent in English, some of them were in the middle, some were like that. And one of them was one of the less fluent in English foreman was Leo, and he was my foreman. And you're the one who put yourself through it, so Snivy. It does, however, make it make it gender neutral, that's for certain. But
Gets the job done.
uh so I could understand them pretty well, and then because some of them didn't speak any English at all, I would make an attempt to speak to them in English to describe the thing, like what they're supposed to do. Now I will say it's a little weird because when you go to school for Spanish, they don't tell you how to talk about trimming trees and cutting trees and tree words. So that was really interesting. But
No, they
I
give
was
you
told
nothing for that.
at the end that I spoke Spanish as well as Leo spoke English, which isn't bad. So
Ooh.
I was pretty proud of if I'm being honest. If they're telling me that I
That
speak
sounds like a
Spanish
compliment to
as
me. I
well
don't
as I
know
speak
about
English, I was like,
you.
okay, I won't say that. I won't say no to that.
That's a compliment. Yeah.
Interesting, Oscar. Yeah, it's because it's it's also because it's like the specific things, right? Like formal, right? Textbook. When you take a language, because when you speak it inherently, right? When you grew up speaking a language, it's because you just vibed. But the amount of time, that's why people, English speakers still do bad in English class. It's the same thing. Well, I will say, Jamie, my field was very specific, right? Like I don't think that honestly, it's very funny because a lot of them also didn't like go to school for tree related stuff, right? So they didn't know any formal Spanish terms for the things either. So they would call it very specific things. So we put cables in trees, right? And these are to hold the thing, and there's a bunch of different parts to the cable. And you have to make sure that we have every single part when we go to a job where they're installing this cable. Now, at a certain point, a lot of the people don't even know. Yeah, no, exactly. This is what we're good at, Oscar. Like a lot of them don't even know the formal word for this. So there's a part of the cable, and it's called a thimble, and it looks like a little horseshoe, like this, with kind of a little groove in the middle, because then the cable goes around it like that, and it protects it from the eye hook that goes in here. So it's called the thimble in English. Now, officially, in a book that I specifically got that was arboriculture tree words for Spanish, translated into Spanish, it calls it guardacabo, cable protector, guardacabo. And so that's what it is officially called. Now, yeah, it's called the thimble. And so they see you, Style Snivy.
Bye, Style Snivy.
Oh,
Thanks for chilling.
count them all. But they don't call it that, and I didn't know what they called it in Spanish, my crew members. So I'm sitting here trying to talk with them. I'm like, it's like, como un, zapato de caballo, guardar un cabo. And he's looking at me and he's like, I got no idea. So I finally called up my foreman. I'm like, please, can you tell him what this, no, I asked him. I said, like Leo, what do you call this? And he's like, I don't even know. So I gave it to him.
No.
Right. I gave him the phone and he ends up describing it to him. Right. And whatever. I learn out later, they call it orejas. Call it orejas, the ears of the cable. That's just what they call it, orejas.
Wow, that definitely
like,
would not have been my first guess.
That's not where I was getting to, but if it works, it works.
Hey, if that's what it's called, then that's what it's called.
So yeah, that was probably the one moment where it's like, I have no idea how to tell you the piece that I need, but I need it now. Thank you.
This is essential. It's kind of funny because, like,
I called it a horseshoe. The shoe of the horse. Zapato, como un zapato de caballo. Because that's what it looks like. You had no idea what I'm talking about. I'm like, I'm sorry.
I bet they appreciated that you tried, though.
They probably did.
I think that's more than a lot of people would have done.
I've honestly I've been lucky to work in a lot. Yeah, exactly. I've been lucky to work in a lot of places that have a lot of this, Spanish speaking people, and it's been very interesting because I can very, very, very much understand them, but to try and speak back is I just don't have the vocabulary. Right? Because when you're working with them, right, it's always a very specific situation, right? You're working in a bakery. You're working with trees, right? It's I didn't get bakery vocab section in school. I didn't get
it comes up.
Tree vocab in school, right? It's trying to be like a math teacher in Spanish. I understand math and I understand, Spanish, but I don't know Spanish math words. It's very unfortunate. Yes, I've seen those
terminology in Spanish.
Platypus. You like that one? No, that's the best part about trying to translate to orni, but trying to translate, communicate between different languages when you only kind of know one, both, is the getting those sort of mishmashed words, right? Like horse tornado for a carousel, right? I know the word horse and I understand what a tornado is. I don't know what that thing is called, but this is what it's about. Schedule. Yeah, schedule is how the Americans say it. We don't talk British here. Screw the British. Media sage isn't here, right? No.
Schedule or something?
Yeah. Schedule. Jewel. Jewel. Yeah. Schedule. Oh, yeah, I'll mark it down on my schedule.
Oh, that's coming up. Let me check
Scawoya.
my schedule.
What's it? I'm trying to think of the Spanish word for schedule that we learned. It's like
Oh,
horaria. Horaria.
you know, this is the one that was probably hammered into us a lot because
Is
they
that
had
what
to
it is?
explain like the class schedule and
Horaria.
stuff. I think so.
I think that's what it is.
Uh, I gotta be honest, guys. Between
Yeah.
the
Yes.
years spent in Spanish in high school and then the years doing Japanese in college, like my language skills are just not where I want them to be anymore. I
Yeah.
really
Let's
want to
learn
pick up
Latin
some
again.
kind of language app or something. Or are we deciding on going back to Latin? Our root?
Horario. Horario.
Horario.
Horario. I was close. I was close.
You weren't too far off.
Yeah. So I think there are different words in Spanish too. Oscar. Or
Well,
what goes on a
depends. What
dog.
word are you talking about?
uh now we're doing Spanish class.
Yeah, apparently. Uh,
Okay.
I I ain't
I'm
complaining.
trying to remember myself.
I should be like
Okay.
taking notes over here. Get ready for
Collar.
my Duolingo quiz. I'm curious, does anyone in our chat use Duolingo or any other language learning app if you do?
D- I don't know. Okay, so in English, in English, Oscar, necklace is for a person. It's jewelry, right? It's fancy, it's nice, it's pretty. It's jewelry. A collar is the dog tag thing that goes on a dog. And then the neck of the shirt is also a collar of the shirt. The part that your head goes through is the collar of the shirt. English sucks. I don't like it.
English loves to
but
reuse
but I
words
think neck of the shirt
for
is
things.
a better word. So the collar of the shirt is the neck of the shirt. That's how it works out.
English is
Oh
so
yeah,
confusing.
we just have two separate words for it. Because if you told if you told a woman that she was wearing a collar, that's a very that's a very
Well,
not a thing to
it's either gonna sound a little strange or she's gonna look down at the collar of her shirt and be like, "Yeah, of course I am.
yeah.
All shirts come with a collar." Yeah. Could be mixed reactions depending on how someone chooses to interpret that.
Yeah, collar is for both. Yeah. You make it simple.
Ah, something English can never be.
See, that's one of the jewelry words that I don't remember learning. I remember learning like bracelet and ring and stuff. Oh, no, I was very proud of myself. So Dylan
Oh
was
yeah.
telling me about how like there was like a Spanish translator in like court one day, and
Oh,
apparently
really?
they had to look up the word for socks in Spanish, and they didn't know. And I was like, I'm sitting here and I'm like, I know what that is. I know calcetines. I know it's calcetines. And I was very proud of myself that I remembered what socks was in Spanish, and a professional Spanish translator forgot. It just felt good.
I was I was about to say the translator
Yeah.
forgot the word. I mean, people are human. I will give them that. I won't belittle them for that. But you're a translator.
Yeah.
It's in the job description. I'm wondering what court case involved socks, though.
I don't know. Just teenage? All right. Teenage.
Mm.
That is very true. You would have to know so much language. It could be so many things, right?
Yeah.
There's so many options. There's so many words it could be. All right. And
You gotta guess.
now, talking about things that could come up in court, let's talk back about relationships.
Yes. Oh, yes. Court relationships and everything.
Oh, you'd have
Well,
very specific knowledge, Jamie.
okay, so we got some basics down about relationships. Essentially, the characters have to be able to work off each other or be able to offer each other some. But another important thing that I see a lot of people miss out on is have your characters spend some quality time together. Have them get to know each other. Have them learn who they are. So many stories love to speed run that process, and that's just not. I think it takes away the how to word it. I'm sorry guys, my brain tonight. But I think you lose some of the genuineness of the relationship, you know? Cuz that's how real relationships work. You talk with someone, you get to know someone, friend, romantic interest, platonic, romantic, whatever. Um you have to get to know them. So if you miss out on those dialogue opportunities, or like we said a couple weeks ago, those downtime moments, you're losing out on something between the characters as well. Uh, anything to add to that, Ori, or any questions
I think
or
it's
chat?
interesting that it's like, I think the biggest thing is the time crunch, right? And I feel like
Mm,
there's a lot of so I learned this very interesting.
in the rushing aspect,
Well,
like
yeah.
speed running the
So something
relationship.
very interesting that I was learned, brought to my attention recently, was the idea that romance is the big seller in media genre, right?
Mm,
Like we were talking about it. The context I was learning about it was in context with comics, right? When you look at all the webtoons that are like, originals and everything that are being pushed, they're all romance comics, right? They're
yes.
all romance because romance sells. And there was like a statistic done where it was just like uh all of these uh I lost my train of thought. Oh, that
Uh,
like someone can
properties
consume
or
like
something.
so many like tons and tons and tons, like an incredible amount of pages of romance books, novels, like compared to like your regular reader that reads something else, right? Like it seems like people who are invested in romance novels and romance comics and everything are like fiends for it, just statistically. Like it was a study done, right? Like how much they fiend it. And
Dang.
that's why, like, you can be a very, I recently started following an author on YouTube Shorts, and all her things are like erotic romance novels. The only reason I follow her is because she's very funny about being like her own, like she is living large on doing just this, right? And she does very nice color coding. But it's the whole idea
Mhm.
that like it sells so much that you can like very easily be making your whole thing out of this. Like that's what sells, right? People
Mm.
say sex sells, it's romance sells. And so thinking about that is what makes me think that they need that media, big media, feels they need to shoehorn in so many romantic relationships into media. Because I think that the problem comes in is that they feel rushed to have that like exist, right? Have that
Mm.
be in it because that's where everybody wants to go. All right,
I feel
Oscar.
like, especially in Western animation, and you could argue other types of animation as well, the couple getting together is definitely viewed as endgame. Like think of even the classics. Even Avatar did this. Katara and Aang got together at the end, and
Well,
that was a big finishing
my
moment.
big one is with Star Wars the sequels. Dragon Prince is beautiful. But see, so that's we can talk about that in a second, Oscar.
Oh,
We can
we
talk
can
about Dragon Prince
definitely
in a
talk
second
about that.
because I have a good thing about that. But in the Star Wars sequels, right? In the end, freaking Rey and Kylo have their kiss or whatever, and it was like, oh, the big deal.
Not a
That
fan.
was I'm not a fan. I hated that. I didn't want that. I was very upset. I like I had to hold in my anger when I saw it in theaters. Yeah, they do. And I'm very upset about it because what they played up the whole time during the show was this very sort of like sibling rivalry vibes. And then they have like this moment beforehand, right before the kiss, where they're like, it's very tension. And I'm sitting here as a person who watches, you know, shows, right? Movies, be like, oh, please don't make it romantic. Like I'm sitting here and it's like, oh, they're leaning it, like, please don't kiss, please don't kiss.
Like
They
begging the
hug.
screen.
And I'm like, oh, yes, like, good. Like, this is the resolution I wanted. Like, a hug was perfect resolution, right? Because they, like, been through a lot. They, you know, Kylo finally turned to the good side, whatever. You know, it's great. He was dying. We have a good time. And then, like, 5 minutes later, they kiss. And I'm pissed the fuck off about that because it was not the way that they went with it. And I think that's solely the reason that they did that was because they needed another Han and Leia. Right? Like they needed another Han and Leia in the movie, right? Because when you think
I
about the
agree.
groups of Star Wars, is right, you have the Anakin Padme in the prequels, then you have the Han and Leia in the primaries, and then you have the stupid Kylo, you know, Kylo Ren and Rey in the sequels. And I think it was one of those things where it was like, oh, we don't have this like romance yet, right? Like we just gotta shove it in there and make it happen because that's what the people want. And it's like, no,
And
that's
it's
not what the people
not
want.
like we can use Finn and his friend or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Not
general
what the
public
people
won't
want.
accept that.
But then, um, a better example where a relationship didn't have to be is with Dragon Prince, right? Because when you watch the Dragon Prince and when you learn about the Dragon Prince, the Rayla Callum was not in the original plans. Rayla Callum was not part of the original story idea for the whole thing. What happened?
Really?
No, it wasn't. And what happened is that leading up to the season where they actually, you know, have their kiss and their moment, and he like runs off the tower for her and everything like that. Well, exactly. They had such a relationship that the people wanted it, right? They
Yes.
had this relationship that it was
They
like
had that
we
chemistry.
ship it, right? That we ship it, and they went, you know what? If you ship it, then we'll give it to you because we agree, right? But it ended up with such a much more organic sort of thing. Now, still going off the Dragon Prince, and this is something I'd like you to weigh in on afterwards. Well, you haven't seen the Dragon Prince, have you?
I haven't seen it, but I
Okay.
might be able to weigh in on like an outsider looking in
So
perspective.
they get together, they, you know, like Callum jumps off the tower and like saves her just barely, like it's great. They have their kiss, it's really cute, it's really nice, it's really great. They have like, I think, a good season where they are together. It's very nice. Then we have the season that just came out, and it's like a 2-year time skip, and we learn from weird backstory stuff that they, yeah, no, exactly, Oscar, that they, like, Rayla ran away, like left Callum to try and make sure that Viren is dead. And so with no contact, Callum has had no contact with Rayla at all for 2 years. And so he is rightfully pissed. However, by the end of the season, oh, it is freaking cold. And he is rightfully very upset. And so when she shows back up and she wants everything to be the same, he's very rightfully like, I don't want, like, I can't deal with that. Right? Like this, like, how dare you come back after 2 years and just think that we are the same?
You just pick up right where you left
not even
off.
leaving a note. Literally, just, I have to go make sure this guy is dead. And then literally no other contact for like 2 years. Terrible. Right? And
Not
so,
a good look,
no,
gotta
not a good
say.
look. And so I'm with Callum. Well, see, that's very true, Oscar. That is very true. But that's still not an excuse, right? Because Callum's feelings matter too. However, the part that I don't like is that because the season is honestly very short, like the whole season is very short in its own right, it is rushed, in my opinion, to get to the point where Callum forgives Rayla fully and they are almost back to where they were right before the kiss, essentially, which is a place that took them like a whole really big, long 2-season journey, right? So it's like, I felt like that was rushed because they didn't want the like, oh, they're gone for so long, they're apart for too long, as we have talked about
And if I
before.
can weigh in a little
Yeah,
bit, it
please.
sounds like it undid all the progress that was made in the previous season. So it leaves your audience kind of feeling like, what was the point of that? Like, why even bother with that if they're just going to have Rayla abandon him in the next season? And even if it is to kind of show like, hey, maybe they're not, because you can lean into a lot of different angles with that. You could show like maybe this I assume there's a war of some kind going on. I know there's like prejudice in the Dragon Prince and
Yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that.
Well, the war
So like
supposedly
you
ended, right? They finished the war, except we don't
well,
know
you
that Viren's dead.
definitely go for an angle in which like the war affected them and that affects like how they show their love or if they're emotionally ready to handle those feelings or even handle a
The
relationship. I
big
could see
part,
them going that route, but they needed the time to do it.
that's my big
And
thing,
it sounds
right?
like they had no time at all.
And that's what I think is such the downfall of romance in stories that are not specifically about the romance, right? Or any
Mhm.
relationship, right? And that
I think maybe the only one that's done it kind of okay was Teen Titans Original, and even then, I did kinda skip the Starfire and Robin episodes because I was just like, "I'm not really interested." Like, it's cute and everything, but it's not the selling
I
point.
agree, Jamie.
It's like a
Because I
nice
think,
perk.
and this is something that like I specifically wanted to avoid, right? That I told Mars to avoid. While Mars and I hardcore ship Hotsun and Milano, very very blatant. Okay, I like it's not a spoiler. We ship
Oh,
them
yeah.
very hard. Okay,
It's
and
no
if you
secret.
don't like, I don't know what you're reading, but we ship them very hard. However, it is without a doubt that this is not the time for that in their lives, right? Like
No.
the whole point of the story is personal growth. That is literally the whole theme of the entire comic that we were trying to make here. And so they are not ready to get into that. And on top of that, we didn't want that to be a vehicle for their personal growth,
Well,
if that makes
that's
sense,
the thing.
right?
It was one of those things where it was so easy to agree with you because I have seen way too many stories that conflate personal growth with being in a relationship. And
Exactly.
it's like, I hate this mentality that comes from our media that says, oh, if you find the perfect person, if you find the one that quote unquote completes you, that's a lie, by the way. You are a complete person on your own. You just find someone who can complement you, different C word. Um, I personally think it's a very bad and toxic mentality that shapes how we interact. Like I could honestly talk about how media has kind of just ruined our perception of romance and just set standards and expectations that are never going to be reached. But that's why I was okay with like not including it in our comic because again, so much of media conflates personal growth with being in a relationship. And it's like, no, not really.
Exactly, Jamie.
You
Exactly.
work on yourself first and then you let someone else into your life.
No, 100%. And exactly, Jamie. And that's what I think makes it so that we even have to have this conversation about writing realistic relationships. Because to be honest, I think that the vast majority of people who have experienced life and a sort of can write a convincing type of relationship, right? Because it exists, like you are in relationships constantly, right? And I'm not talking about just romantic, platonic, familial, right? Like acquaintance, workplace, like all of these are like going
all
about
exist.
your everyday life, right? So it's not that, oh, I don't have experience, right? Because that's a big thing always, right? Like, writing from experience,
Yeah.
you have that
Write what
frame of
you
reference.
know.
Everybody has these relationships. Now, they don't have all the same relationships, but the idea is that they're real, so you could write about those, if that makes sense, right? So the problem comes for the fact that the end game, the goal out of this whole thing is that, oh, this blank is only good if there's a kiss in it, right? This XYZ is only good if there's a romance in it. And this is what's so very interesting, I think, about a lot of media with shipping, because the ones that aren't specific, because in the shows, and this is what happened with Voltron, right? Legendary Defender. They set up so well this relationship between Keith and Lance, right? They had so much personal growth together. They had so many things with, Keith going away and Lance being upset and, on all these, like, Keith stopped being a loner and, like, becoming actually friends with Lance, to Lance being Keith's right hand and the whole formation of the whole thing.
There
Like,
was
it was
some really good
very,
growth.
very good growth. So seeing them get to a point where they would have some sort of romantic relationship was feasible, versus the entire show, Allura brushed Lance off constantly, didn't want anything to do with his flirtatious, pickup lines and whatever, just constant brushing him off constantly. Yet that was the end game, right? Yet that was the end game.
Which
this is
was never possibly properly conveyed to the audience, which I gotta say, unless
No.
you're doing a Toradora style romance where it's like, this is the person you needed all along, it's not gonna work.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I don't
Toradora
care.
clued their audience in
I don't care
to what
about
was going
being
on.
like queer baiting or whatever. Like, that's not the point. Any of them could be any gender. It doesn't matter. The point is that there was no expectation of Lance and Allura getting together outside of, like, oh, it's the female protagonist and the flirty male guy.
Yeah.
That was all the pretense that was there, the foreshadowing that was there.
That
If
was
they had a
literally it.
relationship like Keith and Lance had a relationship, then it would have been okay, right?
It
Maybe
would
it's
have
not the
been
one
less
I want, right? But
because
then it
we
would have
would
been
have
okay.
seen the development.
Exactly.
We would have seen them interacting and getting along and growing.
And that's the whole thing, right? It's these shoehorns. This is interesting, Mars, and I'll ask you.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of how it kind of comes with writing a character's inner dialogue, right? Because you do have this sort of thing, like a tsundere, right, where it's a person that is classically, specifically, outwardly not showing what they inwardly feel, right? And now I feel like, and maybe this is just me, that to a certain extent, that is a big detriment in what maybe these authors are feeling, in the sense of that they know, because they're writing the story, what their character's inner dialogue would be. But if it's not portrayed in a way where we can see that, or hear that, then we're missing out on half the context. And so imagine like a tsundere, right, where it's the guy who is, likes the girl or whatever, who's the tsundere, and she's obviously beating him up, turning him down, being mean, whatever, but we never see the blushing. We never hear her inner thoughts or something like that. Like, we never see, it looks like she's just being mean. And then they get together in the end. That feels like a 180, right? That feels like a 180. She was
Oh, agreed.
dissing him, like she didn't like him, like where did this come from? Versus when, because a tsundere is a very specific cliche in anime, they portray it, right? Like they have the tsundere blushing, or we might have like an inner dialogue thing going on, like an inner thoughts bit, sort of thing happening. And I feel like that's something that misses out in a lot of, especially like live action content and stuff, right? You can't have that blatant blushing, right? It's kind of weird a lot of times to have sort of
Oh
an
yeah,
inner
no.
dialogue, right? So I wonder if that's sort of where we lose it a lot, right? Maybe Rey and Kylo were having these feelings for each other inside, and then they just got realized at the end, but because we're not following that story, because we're not listening to their thoughts, we can't see the cartoonishly blatant blush whenever they talk to each other and interact, that we just missed out. What do you think about that?
Well, that's definitely an interesting point you pose because I definitely think that hand of the author. Oop, I did not do that right. Whoopsies. Uh, sorry, what was I saying? I definitely think hand of the author comes into play a lot because, I mean, we don't make it any secret that we do ship Hotsun and Milano, but we do try to keep ourselves well behaved, let's say.
Honestly, I will
Whereas,
say
mhm,
really quick, anytime that they like look shippable in the comic is completely on accident because I'm in there just vibing.
yeah.
Okay, I'm not.
Milano just has oops sexy
He
syndrome. It's
does. It's not
unfortunate.
my fault. I'm sorry.
It's a medical condition. He can't help it.
He
Okay,
can't
guys? He
help
really
it. He
can't.
can't. He's
He's
just a close,
he is afflicted.
touchy
It's just what
person,
happens.
and that's just conveyed a certain way in society. Okay. We
But
continue. Hand of the
no,
author.
so hand to the author, like we ship our characters. And I don't doubt that there are other creators out there who ship their own characters as well. And they probably do have that inner knowledge of, well, this is how they're really thinking, or this is how I imagine they're really thinking, but then forget to convey that to the audience. In the case of the example you keep mentioning, Kylo and Rey,
It's just the
um,
one I can think of so outlandish, like just hit me
well,
so hard.
no, that one is super outlandish because you could argue. I remember. I think it was in the middle movie of that. Sorry for the lack of
It's
terminology.
fine. I barely know
But
the things.
in the mid movie, I think it was the fifth, the something, the
Oh,
the one that
it,
people were
it
divisive
would have
on.
been 7,
7.
8.
Okay,
I'm
thank
sorry,
you.
8. 8, 8. Yeah, because 7, 8,
8.
9. It would have been
Okay,
8. Because
gotcha,
they're in groups
gotcha.
of 3.
That's right. Yes. So I do remember in that movie they had a moment where and it's very subtle. Honestly, I didn't notice this until I watched ironically enough a YouTube reviewer. His
I mean,
name is
vibes.
Sideways and he does musical reviews. And what he pointed out in that particular scene was that when Ray is saying I don't think anyone understands me. They're playing Kylo Ren, too many
Mm-hmm.
R names. They're playing Kylo Ren's theme in the background.
Mm.
So he implied that, okay, she's saying that no one understands me, but Kylo's music is playing in the background. So that kind of implies that Kylo is the only one who understands her. That I kind of interpreted as, and so did Sideways, interpreted that as more of a this is a Jedi versus Sith side. Like this was hinting Rey might become evil back when we thought that was actually a possibility until,
Mm-hmm.
Disney's.
Yeah.
Um but what's interesting about that now that you bring up your point is that could be taken a shipping way cuz read it on paper. Rey thinks no one understands her. Kylo Ren's theme plays, implying he's the only one that does.
Yeah.
The fan fiction writes itself.
Yeah.
So it all comes down, I think it all comes down to what you're looking for. Because I know I have ships that people do not agree with. Actually, it's pretty funny. If I want to expose myself for a minute,
I got
I'll
exposed all day today.
all right, fine, my turn. I'll know a zero. I watched it with a friend. I had a very good friend who got me into it, and I admittedly shipped the two main characters because by the time it got to the end of the series, I kind of wanted to know what more happened to them. So I started looking at fan fictions, and then I saw all these stories about, oh, he starts visiting him in jail. He's able to get him out. He's able to plead his case with the Mars Council, and they start living together, but it has to be like away from society because he's a war criminal. And then they start understanding each other. And it's like, fan fictions are allowed to be as long as possible. So it's a very natural, slow progression. Definitely the slow burn type. And my friend basically looked at me and was like, "What the hell is wrong with you?" So that was an instance where I was seeing something that they definitely weren't. And I think that's definitely possible for creators and their audiences. Like there are many canon couples out there that fandoms do not agree with. Big one for me. I think I've said it a zillion times. Eren and Mikasa from not Teen Titans. Oh my god,
Woo!
Attack on Titan. I don't agree with that ship because I always saw it as a familial bond. I never saw it as this could be a romantic possibility. I did get hints of it in season two when Mikasa was crying over Eren giving her the scarf all that time ago. And I was like, oh no, no, they're not. They're not. This was so good as just
Okay,
a found family.
that's an
Why are they doing
that's
this?
an interesting point you make there,
But
Mars.
some people don't see that.
So, speaking on that, right?
Mhm.
You have a very there's sort of like a branching of progression, right? You like we said, stranger, acquaintance, friend, and then you have sort of a split here, right? You have the found family, right? You're a
Mhm.
brother to me, you're a sister to me, you're the father I never had, you're the son I never had, whatever,
Oh dear.
right? But there's that, or you could go from friend and you could go into the lovers, right? A romantic relationship. I'm asking you as the writer, how would you differentiate these? Right? Because that's what happened in
Mhm.
this one, right? You specifically like you felt it was a found family, everybody else is shipping it, right? This sort of thing. There's a lot of stigma around specifically like guys being very close and friendly, being taken as automatically romantic or things like this. Like, sort of how do you deal with that? How do you think about that?
It's very interesting. If you're talking in the case of Mikasa and Eren specifically, oh, where that line draws. I guess because of how it was set up. Like Mikasa lives with Eren's family. These are not like yes, they're childhood friends, but they are not two childhood friends that grew up in separate houses. They lived in the same house. They lived under the same roof. Eren's parents were her parents for a time.
Mm.
So that for me just takes it to a whole different realm because you're living under the same roof, you're being raised by the same people, and it's just that is familial. That's a brother and a sister. And they start with that. I felt in season 1 they were leaning into that angle because it felt like the way a brother and sister would care for each other. But then as the seasons went on and they started like they start playing with the dramatic lighting and they do the close-ups on the face and they have the reactions, I'm just like, "Oh no. Oh, please no. No, you can't be doing this." And then I read the last chapter of Attack on Titan, I was like, "This was the plan all along." I I don't feel like it came out of left field, but I feel like it could have been good without it. Like, okay, so light spoilers for the manga ending. Um, Basically, Mikasa has to let go of Eren. In order for I think the future to be set right. Gotta be honest, I read it a while ago, so it's like in bits and pieces. But it's not a happy ending for this couple, essentially. They basically cannot be together, and Eren has a whole breakdown moment over that. I read that and I was just thinking, how much more interesting, how much more engaging, how much more emotional would this have been if it was a familial angle? Because it's like we've all seen the romantic declaration. We've all heard the I can't live without them line. We have seen it before. It's been done to death. But think of something like My Neighbor Totoro. Or if you want to go the angst angle to align more with Attack on Titan, think of Grave of the Fireflies. That is a familial bond that shows a love just as powerful as romantic love. And if Attack on Titan went like a Grave of the Fireflies type route, I think it could have been absolutely incredible and just done something different rather than be very similar to essentially superhero stories we've heard before.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not I feel very bad kind of ragging on Attack on Titan because I know the creator got a lot of flack, even to the point that he made a public apology for the series he wrote, and I think that's extreme. I don't think any creator, unless they've done something egregious, should have to apologize for writing something they want to see. Like, they should not have to apologize for the creation. I think that's absolutely ridiculous. But I think it should still be up for debate and criticism because art is meant to be analyzed as
Mm-hmm.
well.
But don't criticize our art. No, I'm joking.
No, ours
Not
is up
ours.
to
Ours
debate
is
as well.
perfect. No, I'm messing.
It's the only way we'll learn, right?
Yeah, you guys want cool, better comics from us. No.
Because that's the idea. Everyone's experience is unique with all, and not even with just relationships, but with life in general. So having those different perspectives makes the story
Backlash,
even better.
Oscar. So backlash is people getting upset at something you did, right? So backlash is always negative. It's always bad. It's so like I think that's the best way to describe it.
Backlash is typically negative. It
It's
would be
always
the
negative.
equivalent of if I would be the equivalent of if I uploaded a story and someone was following it for a long time. I ended it a certain way, and suddenly everyone who ever liked my story is like, "This is terrible. What were you thinking? This is the worst ending possible. This is worse than I don't know the. This is worse than the Emoji Movie."
Yeah. So like a good example is Voltron Legendary Defender. Everybody's like
Oh boy.
everybody loved it. It was such a like everybody really but to the extreme, Oscar, right? To the extreme.
Yeah.
Where everybody loves this thing and then it ends or something happens and people hate it now. How
Something
dare
happens
you?
that sours viewers'
Yeah,
opinions.
that's backlash.
Basically.
So they got
Yeah.
backlash from it. So it's that
And it's
change.
unfortunate. 'Cause
Yeah, Game of Thrones, exactly. Game of Thrones got a
Game of
lot of
Thrones is a
backlash. Mm-hmm.
great example. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, Senate, your flippers need to
But so
cooperate.
yeah, Mars, so how would you go about sort of defining sort of like we've gotten two characters, they're definitely friends now, right? They're starting to open up more to each other, you know, this sort of thing. How do you direct that into a found family versus a romance?
So I think it all comes down to probably how the characters themselves see each other. Because let me think how to phrase this. I think it really does come down to how the characters see each other because with Milano, he is very much like the quintessential looking for a found family. Like
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't have much when he starts out. He doesn't have any family anymore. So he's essentially looking for someone to fill that void. And he finds them in Ferrix, Aster, and Cinna at first, and then Hotson becomes a part of that as well. And these become important people that he wants to protect, that he wants to take care of. And there's definitely differences between familial love and romantic love, because like familial is part of your family, I mean obviously, and then romantic is like you want to be with that person in some type of capacity. No, I think the characters would determine that themselves, because it would all come down to how they see each other, how do they feel about each other.
I see. So you think the sort of issues that we have where like you interpreted the Eren Mikasa as like a found family thing versus a lot of the fandom interpreting it as a romance would be that it was sort of ambiguous on how the characters felt about each other until it was written out by saying by whatever they got together, I don't know, Attack on
Well,
Titan, or
one of the things that clued me into this is happening is there was a specific scene in season 2 where they think they're going to die, they think it's the end, and Mikasa is thanking Eren for taking her in. And originally on paper you're like, okay, this is a family moment, because like, thank you for taking me into your family, thank you for this, thank you for that, thank you for wrapping this scarf around my neck. And that's when the camera zooms in on her face, it gets all angelic and glowy, she's got the really well animated eyes, and you just know that that's the trick studios use to let you know there's something more happening here. And if
I
you're me,
see.
your heart plummets.
Well, that was me with the Ray Kylo thing, where it was like, oh, don't do it, please. And then it was just a hug, and it was like, ah. And then it was like, oh, and then we did it later, and it was like,
Well,
no.
with yours, I feel like it was worse because you initially felt like you dodged a
It
bullet,
did. It
and
really
then the
did.
bullet's back.
Yeah, and then the bullet was like,
I'm
ricochet.
not a bullet, I'm a boomerang.
Yeah, honestly, very, very upsetting. It's the really detailed eyes.
Okay, how does that look? Okay, that's not terrible. I think I just gotta give up on those feet.
They're kind of weird, not gonna lie, in the position. I'm a guided missile, heat-seeking missile, romance-seeking missile.
It was seriously locked on Ori.
Yeah, no, I saw it in the theaters with Dylan and a bunch of our friends, and it was like, I'm like in the theater, and they're like the first moment where they're like leaning in, and I'm like, oh, don't do it, please don't do it. Like, you felt it was like, oh, they're leading into it, aren't they? Please don't do it, please don't do it. And then they hugged, and it was like, oh, awesome, great. Like, that's so happy about that. Dylan heard
And
me.
all was
So
right
happy
in
about
the
it.
world.
And then later on, they were like, oh, and then they kissed, and I was like, no.
I was like, we were so
So
close.
upset. It was my first mistake. They're diehard fans, so they wanted to see them all in theaters. They had hope, and then it was of course dashed. I'm sorry I didn't have ICU Oscar. Next time I go to the theater, I don't know when that'll ever be.
I want to see Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I'm trying to get to theaters to see
It's
that.
supposed to be so good.
I'm dying to see it.
I'm honestly I've kind of, after COVID, I just kind of like, I don't go to theaters anymore. Yeah, last time we said so too, Oscar. Yeah, I'm just kind of in the like, I haven't been doing it. I've
Right.
seen movies, just
Well,
not in theaters.
we've talked about some, I'm gonna say, not ideal romances. Do you have any ones that you like, Ori?
Well, I will say that I like
Like,
the
what would
Dragon
be your
Prince
example of
when
a
they first
really
get
good
together.
romance?
Okay. Are we
Oh,
specifically
why
doing
did
romance
that happen?
in a non-romance thing? Because I think that's where the problem comes, right? Like, I feel like I can't think of, like, a romance story that I have that I have read, that is, like, so terrible, because that's, like, the whole point, right? I think the
Hmm.
relationships fall apart when that is not the main crux of the show, of the comic, of the book, right? And I think that's where it really, really falls apart.
Nice.
Hmm.
Okay, then how about this? Your best romance in a romance specific thing, and best romance in a non-romance
Oh,
specific
now it's
thing.
gonna be hard. Now I have to think of other freaking romance things they're like all comics, if I'm being honest, or fan fiction, but they're
I'm
like all
challenging you,
comics.
Ori.
Oh, I have to think about it. Dang, Jamie, not even your own home. Wow. Yeah, I saw Thor Ragnarok. Okay, a
I'm not sure if I made.
romance
I did not make these spots big enough. This is a
specifically.
giant ass
You
tail.
know
What
what?
am I doing?
You know what? I won't lie. I mean, Oscar, I do love that a lot. I'm very upset that it won't be Henry Cavill anymore. I'm very, very upset. Okay, okay. I know my answers.
Okay.
In a romance specific thing, and now this is a really old one.
That's why it didn't work.
Pretty Woman.
Oh.
I
Okay.
highly enjoy that movie because I think it shows very much it's two people that are kind of down on their luck or whatever, right? But they're their own people in their own right, and she won't, like, the main heroine, like, won't let you forget that, right? Like, she's her own person, but they end up, complimenting each other, right? In the end. And they end up complimenting each other, and it's really sweet at the end, but there's time to grow, right? Like it's the whole movie, there's
Yeah.
time to grow, there's time to find these new facets of each other that we weren't originally there, and like I do enjoy that one. I do enjoy that
Okay.
one. But the one that's not in a thing is actually a new one, and it's in
Oh.
Dragon Age Absolution. Okay? In Dragon Age Absolution there are it's a band of characters, right? Because it's very TTRPG-esque, right? It's
Our
very
5-man band?
RPG. I think it actually is in the end.
Ooh.
Yeah, but it's kind of skewed because it starts out with more, and then there's like lots of twists, and someone dies. That's not a spoiler because it's like in the first, like the second episode, I think. It's a very good show. If you have Netflix, you need to watch Dragon Age Absolution. It's fantastic. I love Rosarin to death. But
Surprised and not Netflix.
I'm so sorry, Mars. Yeah, that's spoiler. No,
Ori,
it's
quick question. How is this tail and the spots looking to you? I
looks
tried to
good.
make them big because it was
Yeah.
a big fin.
No, it looks good.
Awesome.
So two of the sort of quote unquote side characters have this sort of like flirtatious thing going on. And so at the very there's at the very from the start, this one character has history with another character, and they're definitely romantically involved, but they had to like separate for a period of time, and there's some angst there, but honestly she just really, like, it shows they just really love each other and they just want to be together and all this sort of stuff. Curve that stripe around the other way, and then that's great and all, but these
That's
two
too
characters
thin.
that meet each other in the show, they meet each other first time. The one
Better?
of them, yeah, exactly like that. The one of them is
And
just
then like that?
exactly, yeah.
I follow ya.
The one of them is just constantly like sort of teasing and flirting with the other, and the whole time Dylan and I are like, oh, this is the shit, right? Like, we really want them to get together. Like, it's really cute. Like, they're really just playful, funny, and the one is definitely getting flustered all the time, and it's great. And yeah, at the very end, they kiss, and it's fantastic, and it's just adorable, and it's this very thing that's like, it's just in the side, right? It's not the I'm glad you enjoyed it, Jamie. But yeah, it's just a really nice little, little side thing that technically has no bearing on the story at all, but it's done in just such a a light way,
Hmm.
right? And it's definitely not supposed to be this big grand thing, but it's like, oh, it could be really cute, and honestly, that's the one I can think of, right? Where it's like
Okay.
I enjoyed every moment of it.
So that was the one where it wasn't originally focused on romance, but
It is
it
not
did it
a
well that
romance.
didn't bother.
Yeah, it's not a romance. Now the whole show itself has romance as like a theme in a sense, but not in the end game is get together, because the main character and her girlfriend are like essentially together from the start, but it is like a
Mhm.
plot point, but that's not them that I'm talking about. It's these two side characters.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. It's like the two other characters in the five-man band. It's like the muscle and he's not really the smart guy. He's kind of the lancer. He's kind of the lancer, I guess.
Okay.
It's the big guy and the lancer, kind of. Vaguely, if I had to shove them into boxes like that.
I see. Interesting. You're making me want to check it out even more.
Yeah, you can probably find it on the website we watch anime on.
This is a reverse thing. So...
But yeah, it's really, really good.
No.
I'm glad you find me amusing, Jamie. Jamie said that I made them laugh by correcting you on the art mid-rant. So what about you, Mars? What are your favorite romance and your favorite romance in a non-romance show? Right?
So gotta be honest, this one is really hard for me because I don't like many canon romances. I definitely prefer ships.
Cyber
Okay.
It's
well,
all fun.
yeah, okay.
mm?
It's
Oh no, given.
count as
I should have
canon.
said given.
Okay, no,
Both of
Given
them.
was
Both
good.
of them.
Okay.
Both sets of them.
No, Given was good.
Yeah.
I remember watching. I gotta rewatch that one. Yuri on Ice also very good, very wholesome.
That one's very good too.
Such good growth. Absolutely love that one. Because it's like you see how they help each other. You see how through Victor, Yuri gains the confidence that he needs, and through Yuri, Victor finds passion for skating again. That he actually comes out of retirement and is like, yeah, I'm gonna do this. So it's like that was nice to see. I like that one.
You know what I like about Given
okay,
so
I guess
much?
that's my romance specific one.
Really quick
for
while
my
you think about it.
Romance specific one.
I like Given so much because it very blatantly in your face shows every single character having their own lives and their own shit. Right?
Which
it
one?
is Given.
Yeah.
Right? It is not a this person will fix me, right? It is not a this person is going to think. Now they do help each other, obviously, they're like shoulders to cry on and everything, like their support, but they all each have their own shit going on. I wouldn't call it yaoi, but it's a romance. Yaoi, I think, specifically has the connotation of being sexual, does it not?
Yeah, I would
so
say
it's not
so.
a yaoi. But it is a gay romance.
Should these be curved a bit more?
Yeah. Lean into it. Yeah, exactly, Oscar. Yaoi is specifically when it's sexual. Yeah.
Yeah. No, we're in for the wholesome romance.
We're in for the whole man. We're in for the hugs and the blushes. BL doesn't have to be sexual, but it usually ends up being sexual. But it doesn't have to be.
It definitely started off that way. I think Yuri on Ice actually kind of helped end that stigma, which is how we got shows like Given, and then very light Saibiku Ibisco. even before Yuri on Ice. Okay, I got it. Shion and Nezumi
Oh
from
no,
number
Sasnavi.
6.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Shion
Okay.
and Nezumi from number 6. I haven't watched the anime yet, but I have read the manga, and they are very cute in that one. I still don't forgive Nezumi for leaving at the end. But it's okay. The fan fictions have him come back. I feel like the author meant to write
It's
a
very true,
follow-up, but
Jamie.
never did, which is unfortunate, but it is a very good series. Taking place in a post-apocalyptic dystopia, so that's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm. That's why I think Given is nice, Jamie, because they don't, with the first couple, they don't lean into that stereotype. If I remember correctly. I think it's only with Haruki and the other guy that they have that moment.
How do you mean?
And so Jamie says that like boy love and everything usually ends up sexual because most people don't understand that you can love each other or be in a romantic relationship without sex. I think I'm not remembering any of the names, but the main characters in the actual show Given, they don't really have anything like that. It's really just all cutesy romance and stuff. However,
Oh yeah.
but
Well, it's
Haruki
definitely
and the other guy,
Uenoyama falls
yeah,
hard
they yeah,
without realizing it.
yeah,
So
it's
it's
really cute.
definitely one of those, oh crap, what have I done type moments for him. Which is just watching him panic and try to figure
'Cause it's
out
also
his
like his
feelings.
awakening, you
So
know.
funny.
It's also like he's like, oh, you know, I like guys. That's new.
Yeah.
that's a realization.
He was just like, wow, I was not ready for that. Oh crap, he's being cute. What do I do?
Yeah. Oh. So.
No.
But it's definitely
very
not
good
that
stuff.
one. I wouldn't say is sexual at all.
Oh no, not
They're
even.
just
Not
honestly
at all.
adorable. It's called Given, Jamie. Given. It's a band anime. It's about a band. It's fantastic. It's gorgeous.
Yes.
Music, epic as hell. It is a bop.
It is so good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's great. Really great. Then there's a movie afterwards that gives the other
Focuses
two
on the two
side
side
characters, which is honestly also epic as hell. I'm gonna call myself out. It is rock band, right? I think it is a rock band. If I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, rock. Really, really good. Music top tier. I'll call myself out. Mara showed me this anime, and Haruki, one of the side characters, has like amazing, fantastic hair, and I was like fawning over it to my mother, and my mother's like, "Here's money, go get a haircut, get your haircut like that," and I was like, "Oh, I don't know why we're red.
We're red.
I don't look red on me."
What did we do?
You can find them, Style Snivy. You can find them. They'll come to you. Call them here, White Blood Cell. Here. Whoop, whoop.
No, you got to give them treats to tempt them
Shake
out.
the bag. Shake the treat bag.
Yeah.
That's how they come out.
Shake the bag, make the noise, all that good stuff.
Yeah, don't die, Oscar. Rock music, okay. Jamie, it's very good. I'm not a rock like person, like in real life. Like I wouldn't say I listen to rock music at all. It was a bop. It's a bop because it's like J-rock, right? Which is not the same as American rock. It's definitely different.
Like, the songs that the band write actually have meaning to the story and the emotional journey that the character is going through.
It's very good.
It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Okay. I think I'll just whoop.
what is your taste in music, Jamie? What would you call it? See, I hate the one
that's
thing I
too
hate
many.
about genres, right? Like musical genres, is the fact that essentially alternative. Yay! Woo! Sal Snivy, good job.
Ah,
Success.
and there he is.
Beautiful. Honestly, this is the time to wrap up. But
Ah, wow.
is one band in particular. I have to, if someone asks like what kind of music you like, the literally only answer I can say is alternative. And it's like
No,
there is
my
nothing
music
else.
taste is so all over the damn place. I could never decide. It's my music taste fluctuates from I like this specific genre to if it sounds good, this is my jam.
Honestly, I will say, for me, yeah, he's based off a shark. But for me, the biggest thing is I need lyrics matter to me. I'm really not a big instrumental music person. Um, I really, really like having lyrics because I enjoy singing. And if the lyrics, like, I do care what the lyrics say, right? Like, I honestly don't listen to a lot of like pop music because it's like, I don't feel comfortable singing the lyrics of certain pop songs, and two, I don't care about what they have to say, and like, I don't relate to
all,
love things.
all the
So,
songs about
sex, yeah.
basically sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't relate to that. But the only like romancy ones that I do listen to are because they're like a lot of them are related to like outcasts in some way because they're just kind of relationships in some way. And I will say alternative songs about really abusive relationships and finally getting out of them. I don't know, top tier.
That is such a
It's very
specific
specific,
genre.
but you know exactly what I'm talking about, Mars.
Oh,
You know exactly what I'm
I
talking
do,
about.
because half of them are in our band AU.
Ooh,
More than
nice
half.
style, Snivy. Nice. Nice. How many you have left to go, Style Snivy? How many left to go? But orchestral and symphonic rock. All right.
Ooh.
Very interesting,
Oh, so
Jamie.
okay, do you ever listen to the electric cello? Because that instrument is awesome.
What was that one? Light orchestra?
Light orchestra?
Yeah.
Why does that sound familiar?
Electric light orchestra. The cheater cello? Electric Light Orchestra is an English rock band.
Hmm.
Symphonic rock. All right. Good night, Style Snivy. We're going to wrap up as well.
Good night, Snivy.
It has
Any
been
last minute
nice.
questions?
Yeah, questions, all great. I got a tiny bit farther in the animation, essentially just finally finishing out Ferrix's bit, but Mars got much further and colored all of Sidit. Look at that boy. Great boy.
He's so happy. And I am so happy because now I can go do my weekend.
Yes. Did you do Milano?
I did do Milano. Yeah,
Okay.
he's uploaded. He's
So
colored.
just Hotzen then I'll have to do, which is good. Great.
I think I could do him Sunday when I get back.
You're certainly welcome to try. I have these boys to do before then.
Honestly, Hotzen, I can bang out so
That's also
quickly.
very true.
Seriously, not a problem.
Latin rock? Boulevard of Broken Dreams. Oh, I see. So you listen to it as a Latin version. Interesting. I wonder how that would sound.
Oh.
I wonder how that would sound.
You know, sometimes when you listen to songs in different languages, the sound is so different.
Yeah.
It could be really good too.
It's interesting that you say that, Jamie, because the other main electric instrument, electric guitar, is very different from acoustic guitar. Like, damn.
Oh,
But,
incredibly.
all right, guys. We'll wrap that up. Can you believe that it is now only 10 days to comic launch, guys? 10 days away.
Holy Crap.
just over a week. It is 10 days away.
Oh,
And
that is crazy to me.
yeah, so if you wanted to do
Oh.
the draw this in your style, make sure to get that in. You're getting
Yes.
close on the time there.
Please, we want to see your artwork.
And yeah. No, they
We'll be
played
back
exactly the same,
on-
but they sound very different, like noise-wise.
Oh, yeah. No,
Yeah,
totally.
we will be playing Ace Attorney on Sunday.
Sunday.
All right, so we'll see you then in 3 days.
Yes.
And
We gotta finish Turnabout, Rise from
finally,
the Ashes.
and then depending on how long that takes, maybe we'll get to play Elevator Hitch. Who knows?
Oh, we might.
Yeah, depending on how long that
Yeah.
takes. So we will definitely be finishing Rise from the Ashes, and thus the entirety of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, the first game. If
we
we
made it,
have
you guys.
time, we will be playing a horror visual novel called it's an indie game called Elevator Hitch that won 2nd place in a horror novel thing, but in Spanish. And yeah, that's everything. So we hope to see you then. And it's really nice art, so I wouldn't say it's not like super realistic horror or something like that. I couldn't handle that, but it is a horror game. It's very fun. There'll be
maybe
new outfits if we
psychological
play
horror.
that as well. And then yeah, we hope to see you then. Have a nice weekend up until Sunday night. All right. See you then. Good night.
Take care, everyone. Have a great weekend.